Forced to vote. Forced to vote was a significant event that took place in 2021. It was that rare moment where there was a tactic in which we really could have gained a lot of ground trying to get Medicare for all in this country. Now, I want to be clear here. Chances are, if it was introduced on the House floor, it would not have passed. And the only caveat from this is that this would have been a great stepping stone to shine a light on the heartless Democratic and Republican politicians currently serving in that Congress who would deny health care to its own citizens at the height of a pandemic. Just remember, all these politicians abandoned us. All these politicians have gold-plated health care and earn a six-figure salary and have wonderful, wonderful job and lobbyist opportunities waiting for them when they end their career in Congress. They do not like us, they don't think about us, and they don't respect us. And forced to vote, again, forced to vote was just using political power, and Republican Matt Gaetz proved that it can work. Forced to vote is an effective tactic. It's an effective strategy. It works. And the thing is, DSA is the one that came up with it. DSA, Democratic Socialists of America. Now, Jimmy Dore and many other people, Hardlands Media included, were on board with the idea of forced to vote. There were 15 congressmen and women that could have very well formed a united coalition to hold Nancy Pelosi's feet to the fire to introduce a House floor vote for Medicare for all, which they never did because the squad never was the squad. It was a nickname given by Nancy Pelosi to AOC and her fantastic friends. This is the truth of it. And you had people like Fat Tony and Sammy Boy Cedar who were on board with it at first. And then something happened. They got an Uno reverse card because they're afraid that, McCarthy would be Speaker of the House. Now, the only way that could happen, the only way McCarthy would have been Speaker of the House is if the Democrats crossed party lines and voted with the Republicans, which was never going to happen. Because you remember, Matt Gaetz using his force to vote, I mean, no Democrat was siding with the Republicans. Okay? But Matt Gaetz was able to get what he wanted in the end. Not once, but twice. But of course, Cenk is choosing, Fat Tony himself, the man who ran for president. What the hell were you thinking, you clown? Is deciding to rewrite Forced to Vote. Shout out to Case Study QB for getting a couple of segments, including his opinion on AOC, his very Frankenstein that he created, as well as the influence that donors have over Kamala the Cop Harris. But first, let's hear Cenk's retelling of Forced to Vote.
So while I fight for the ideal, I'm very practical. So, for example, she wins, and then one cycle later, after 2020, there's these guys who wanted to quote unquote force the vote, and it was on the speakership.
Say their names: Jimmy Dore, the comedian from Chicago, right? Forced to vote. Remember? I remember.
Of Nancy Pelosi, and they wanted to use it to get Medicare for all. I'm like, guys, forcing a vote is a terrific idea. On the speakership, okay, who's your alternative? Oh, we don't have an alternative.
No, that wasn't about a speaker. It wasn't about removing Nancy. At no point in time, it was to get her hooves to the fire. I'm seeing people in the audience talk about that, and hold her accountable. It wasn't about replacing the speaker. It was about using political power and capital while we still had it. Too bad, the squad never had the backbone or the heart to do so. By the way, shout out to Mastermind Hour. Fred Flintstone's campaign bus never picked up momentum because he was always driving around with flat feet. Oof, come on. Mastermind, that was mean.
Already giant red flag. Okay. What's the issue you're looking to have them vote on? Medicare for all. Oh, you don't know politics. So I love Medicare for all. We have to get Medicare for all. But if that's the first one you put up without gaining any leverage, you're going to get slaughtered. Put up something easy. Force a vote on $15 minimum wage, or pick another one that's easy. Paid family leave. These are all polling great, because if you force a vote on that, you can actually win. And if you win, you gain leverage. And
oh my God, guys, all you got to do is keep your powder dry. Duh. And everything will be just fine. Keep the powder dry. You'll be just fine. Hey, the powder's all moldy. The powder is, well, flaky. It's not right. Something's wrong. There's millipedes crawling all over it. How'd that tactic work out, Fat Tony?
And then you do the next one and the next one. And then you do Medicare for all. Not bullshit gradualism that the corporate Democrats do, but actually strategically, practically building up power and leverage and using it at the right times. So if I thought that's what AOC was doing, I would love it, right? So I don't need her to force a vote on Medicare for all. I don't need her to go on some wild tangents that don't make any sense and is only going to diminish your power. But when they eviscerated all the progressive proposals in Build Back Better, how did that happen? Manchin and Sinema used every ounce of leverage they had. They said, I'm just not going to vote for it. I don't care. Okay. The status quo is perfect for my donors, so I don't need you. I vote no. Okay. Now take out everything I want. And Biden did, right? Progressives had to push back and say, here is 2 to 3 proposals.
Like little bitches. See, this is why, look, at first, the theory of Justice Democrats, brand new Congress, our revolution, and by some extent, DSA, trying to reform the Democratic Party. Back in the day, I don't know, maybe there was a window of opportunity for it to be done. Maybe, possibly, who knows? I don't know. It could have been done, theoretically, but oh, wait. My brain cells are working again, and all of a sudden the past is hitting me like a brick wall. There's no reforming that political party because it was corrupted to the core. It was a child's fantasy. And yet this is the same guy who said we just got to hold Biden's feet to the fire. Progressives got nothing done under the 3.5 years of the Biden-Harris administration. Hell, the Senate parliamentarian had more power than those two stooges put together, and this guy went to bat for them.
Right? Not everything, 2 to 3 proposals. They all poll over 70%. They're all no-brainers, and they're all things that Joe Biden promised. We want those in the bill, otherwise we're voting no. At that point, the media, what would have happened is the media would have exploded, and they would have said AOC and the rest are the scum of the earth. They're ruining the Democratic Party. We're not going to get the bill. They're the worst. You have to withstand that. If you cannot withstand a nuclear blast from mainstream media, you're not the person. Because you have to go run that obstacle course to get the change. If they had stood their ground, they definitely would have won on 1 to 2 of those issues.
Oh.
Instead, they went with a strategy that was literally called Trust Biden.
My God, go back, Cenk, and start sucking on that blue donkey dong, okay? My God. This is a dude who went to bat for AOC and everybody else in the Democratic Party during those 3.5 years. Okay? This is the same big brain genius who even ran in the Democratic primary, which, by the way, you couldn't have ran it in the first place because you weren't a U.S. citizen. I would say you have egg on your face, but you got, maybe a lot of shite on your face for doing something that incredibly stupid and a waste of time. You think you learned your lesson the first 2 times you ran for Congress, but running for the big seat, yeah, Cenk Uygur, you're going to get things done all right. But hold on. I got to be very clear on this, folks, because force to vote could have worked. And it wasn't about replacing Nancy. It never was about replacing Nancy. It never was about replacing Nancy. It was about using political capital and power and coalition to force her. Because if she wanted to get that speaker seat, she had to comply with the demands for the force to vote if they actually stood resolute and strong. But see, none of the 15 congressmen and women who are on that force to vote petition have a backbone, have a heart, have a soul, have the balls to actually fight. They don't. They don't got that dog in them. They don't. And the unfortunate thing is that the idea and the propaganda of, that means McCarthy, woogie, boogie, 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 will become Speaker of the House. The only way that's going to be done is if the Democrats cross party lines and the Democrats had a majority. You know what happens if there isn't a majority vote? Oh, okay, we got to vote again. No majority again? Oh, hey, we got to vote again. That's the process. Everybody in my audience knows that. Hell, even Republicans know that. Okay? When I was covering the Met Gates with my good friend and colleague Farron, when we were covering that, that was forced to vote. That was it. That was it. Right there. So it works. And hey, did Hakeem Jeffries become Speaker of the House? No, he didn't. No, that didn't happen. The only way Hakeem Jeffries would have become Speaker of the House during that whole thing, the first time Matt Gaetz was doing his force to vote, is if the Republicans were going to cross the party lines, and they weren't going to do that. So what does that tell you? So now Cenk has to talk about AOC. Let's talk about his little Frankenstein creation.
Let me ask you about another impressive speech. AOC. Is it possible that she's the future of the party, future president?
No. So AOC, in my opinion, lost her way.
You are the creator of that. Thank you, Cenk. Now, you know what? Hey, I should pull up the clip of Daniel saying, hey, thank you, Cenk and Kyle, for giving us AOC. Got right up the wazoo. That's how we got AOC. Nancy 2.0. You are Frankenstein, and that is your monster.
Right. When AOC's running, we do 34 videos on her. We get her millions of views. We founded Just Democrats and now launched it on the show. Our audience, Ryan Grimm documents it in one of his books. Our audience raises $2.5 million.
Yeah, you dragged your audience along on that stupid crusade, eh? We've got the people. We've got people. We've got people. We've got people. That's just stupid. Okay. From Jesse Jackson to Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, the end of the big money and the rise of a movement. Oh, yeah, I got a movement, all right. It's called the Morning Dump.
For those progressive candidates overall. And at that point, AOC and all those Rashida Tlaib, et cetera, they're all dying to come on a Young Turks. Makes sense. I would too, of course. It's not because it's the Young Turks, any media outlet. And most media outlets, almost all the media outlets reject them. We cover AOC more than all the other press combined, right? And she wins for a number of reasons. That's one of the reasons, but there's many others, and she did a terrific job herself. She then takes Shoykant and Corbyn, who were the Shoykant was the head of Just Democrats, and Corbyn was communications director for Just Democrats. Then Shoykant made one of the most brilliant political decisions in arguably in American history. He called me and he said, Cenk, I'm going to go from head of Just Democrats to running AOC's campaign.
You know, what's funny is that they kicked him and Kyle out. Well, Kyle followed. Because Kyle's a follower. But Cenk was kicked out because of comments and articles that he made back in the day before TYT, before he made his shift from being a Republican to a Democrat. But look, even then, because we covered that on our radio show way back in the day. And I thought that was wrong what the Justice Democrats did to Cenk. But my goodness, you give all this coverage. She goes on your show, and now, like a Tinder date, she's ghosting you. Like, oh, my schedule's very busy. I'm not showing up on your show anymore. It's too low class.
And I'm like, well, the other candidates are going to get pissed. And you're staking the entire enterprise on one candidate. I'm like, sure, I'm not in it. I'm doing the media arm. You're in the trenches. You're the guy making the decisions. So I'm going to trust whatever you say. You sure? And he said, yeah, I'm sure. So him and Corbyn go over to AOC's campaign. AOC then wins that miraculous win. Then she hires Shoykant to be her chief of staff, and she hires Corbyn to be her communications director. Within 6 months, they're gone. And once they're gone, AOC then goes on an establishment path. Okay. Because why were they gone? Oh, they insulted one of her colleagues. Yeah, that colleague who's a total corporatist and was selling out one of our policy proposals. If you don't call out your own side, you're never going to get anything done. But if you call out your own side, you become persona non grata, and it is super uncomfortable. And we couldn't get them to do things that were uncomfortable. Now, she's going to find that outrageous, and she's going to be very offended by that. And she's going to point to a bunch of things she did that were uncomfortable. And to be fair to her, she does. She's until that speech, she was pretty good on Palestine when we desperately needed it. She was pretty good on a bunch of issues. Cory Bush did that campaign on evictions, etc., on the Capitol steps. That was great. AOC's original sit-in Pelosi's office. At that point, we're all still on the same team. It's a spectacular success. Me, Corbyn, and Shoykot are saying, do it again, do it again. Like, not don't abuse it. Like, don't be a clown and do it every other day. But like when it matters, you need to be able to challenge Pelosi, right? And in my opinion, she just got to a point where she got exhausted being uncomfortable. It's really hard. The media hates you and they keep pounding away and calling you a radical and you're destroying the Democratic Party. You're destroying unity. So whereas if you go along, all of a sudden you're a queen. And now all of a sudden the mainstream media is saying, oh, AOC, she could be the progressive.
I mean, there's
especially someone like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez has someone who's played in the party in recent months, right. This Congress. She is someone who has become part of the, I don't want to say establishment because she would probably argue that, but she has not spoken out against the party in recent.
Yeah, and who enabled her? I'll give you first name Cenk, last name Uyghur, especially on how much water you and Anna Banana and Sammy Boy Cedar and your whole other fantastic lunch brunch liberal crew did. I mean, at the end of the day, you created that monster. At the end of the day, you went to bat for her. She doesn't even show up on your freaking show anymore. And yet you decided it was a good idea because, oh no, you were promoting the lie that somehow there's going to be another speaker or somehow McCarthy was going to get the seat. That wasn't the case, Fat Tony. Never was. Never was the case. So when we hear him rewriting history, this is a man who has to come to terms with his own epic failures. This is the curse of being Cenk Uyghur. This is the curse of being a clown. You carried water for AOC, and all what you got was a stab in the back. Hell, a stab in the front. And there you are smiling around, joking around, rewriting what happened was forced to vote. Because I guarantee you this, if I were to talk to Breonna Joy Gray or Jimmy Dore or anybody else that was leading the forced to vote movement, they're going to tell you something completely different because what they went through and the amount of trials and tribulations they went through was inexcusable. All right. Forced to vote was this one rare opportunity in which we could have got something done or either that laid the foundations for true infrastructure to maybe break this system. But when we asked those jagoff politicians to fight, they left us high and dry. AOC never was the fighter. And Cenk and them promoted and created that monster. She was never going to lead the way. She got tired of being uncomfortable. Guess what? When I do this show, there's always a risk of being censored. There's always a risk of dealing with trolls. There's always a risk of dealing with criticism. And you know what? It's very uncomfortable. Wah! Boo-hoo-hoo! I chose this life. Sometimes life is uncomfortable. Sometimes life is brutal. Sometimes life is unfair. And when people look to you to lead, it's either you boot up or suit up or you, I don't want to swear too much, or you F right off. It's either you fight or you don't. Life is not a bed of roses. Life isn't comfort. It is a struggle every day. But AOC got tired of being uncomfortable, Cenk. And then you went to bat for her because she was tired of being uncomfortable. Then why is she there in the first place? And so now that she's tired of being uncomfortable, now she is comfortable. Now she goes to Met Gala events. It is on the front cover of magazines. I'll never forget when she was on Morning Blow show. And Morning Joe was like, more or less, he said like, hey, we kind of expected you guys to be, a little bit more antagonistic towards the Democrats, but you're not. You know what AOC said? She said, yeah, thanks. And then she has the audacity to criticize Jill Stein. I want to pull up another video here. One last one. I'm sorry. One more. It's about Kamala. Kamala. Cenk Uyghur making the case that donors have influence on Kamala Harris and preventing her from proposing popular policies like paid family. Oh, so donors are making sure that Kamala can't do popular progressive policies. Well, did it ever consider you ever consider that maybe, possibly, that she likes the donors and was never, ever, 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 ever going to fight for progressive policies? Hey, let's have democracy in the chat. Type 1 for Kit. These donors are being mean and they're holding her back. Shame on you. They're preventing her. Type 2, man, she opened the door for donors. What do you mean she's going to fight for progressive policy? She ain't ever going to do that. Come on, quit screwing around there, buddy. I wonder how many 2s will be in the chat. I wonder.
So if you're doing things that are popular, people love it. So today, what would Kamala Harris do if she actually just wanted to win, right? So number one, she was trying to pass paid family leave right now. Why? It polls at 84%, and even 74% of Republicans want it. Why? Because it says, hey, when you have a baby, you should get 12 weeks off. Bond with your baby. Right now, in a lot of states that don't have paid family leave, you have to go back to work the very next day, or you have to use all of your sick days, all your vacation days, just to have 1 or 2 weeks with your baby, right? So conservatives love paid family leave. Liberals love paid family leave. That's why it polls so high. So why isn't she proposing it? It's not in our economic plan. Tim Walz already passed it in Minnesota. He showed how easy it was. If you want votes, and then you know what's going to happen if you propose paid family leave. The Republicans are going to go, no, our beloved corporations don't want to spend another dollar on moms, right? And they fall for that trap. And then you're in an infinitely better shape. So why doesn't she do it? She doesn't do it because her corporate donors don't want her to do it. $15 minimum wage, layup over 2.
Don't you dare fight for families. Or either that. Here's how it probably is. Hello, this is Kamala. Who's at my front door? Open the door. Oh, hi, donors. Listen, Kamala, we hear all your orders and policies we want you to fight for. Okay, here's your money. Okay. Kamala. Yes. Remember, no progressive policies. What's that? Very good. She's never going to fight for progressive policies. They're never on her radar. When she brought up Medicare for all in 2020, in one day she did a flip-flop, flippity-flop, a flop-flop, flippity-flop. She flopped more than a fish on dry land.
2/3 of the country wants it because it not only gives you higher wages for minimum wage folks, but it pushes wages up for others. And what do the elites say? Oh, that's going to drive up inflation. Oh, you shouldn't get paid anymore. Wait, hold on. So you're saying all the other prices should go up, but the only thing that shouldn't go up is our wages? No, our wages should go up. Okay. So these are all easy ones. Here's another one, anti-corruption. Why isn't she running on getting money out of politics? It polls at over 90%.
What is that? Sometimes my mornings can be very bleak and depressing, but you know what? That was funny. Okay. Cenk, say that again. Why is she fighting to get money out of politics? I mean, come on, man. She'll do anything for that money. Come on.
Is our wages? No, our wages should go up. Okay. So these are all easy ones. Here's another one, anti-corruption. Why isn't she running on getting money out of politics? It polls at over 90%. Why isn't Trump running on it anymore?
Because it's one big club, you clown. He's like, why are they doing it? Gee, I wonder why. It's because they're corrupt politicians and they're playing the game. No matter who sits on the throne, Wall Street will have the final say.
He won when he ran on it in 2016. He didn't mean a word of it, but he ran on it. It was smart. They don't do it because their corporate donors take their heads off if they do.
So in contradiction to that, why did she propose to raise the corporate tax rate from 21% to 28%?
Because that's easy, because that is something that's super popular and she's not going to do it. That's why. So guys, this is where I break the hearts of Blue MAGA. Blue MAGA thinks, oh my God, these Democrats, they're angels, and the right wingers, and they're.
You enabled them, you goofy clown. From the years of the Trump administration, even going into the Biden years, my goodness, TYT, you guys help cultivate an anti-Trump crowd, okay? And I get it. Fine, go ahead. But you also help promote the Democratic Party. You guys carried water for them. You carried their crap for them. You cleaned up their house for them. You painted their house too. You made everything look nice and shiny. And if anytime anyone was critical of AOC or any of these Democrats, oh man, you were part of that Greek phalanx. You were part of that shield wall. And how'd that work out? Huh? How'd that work out?
Republicans are evil and they work for big business, but not Kamala Harris, not Joe Biden, right? Okay, well, Donald Trump took the corporate tax rate from 35% to 21%. So that's trillions of dollars that got transferred. Because guys, you got to understand, if the corporations don't pay it, we have to pay it, because we're running up these giant deficits, and eventually either they're going to, not eventually, they keep raising our taxes in different ways that you're not noticing. They keep increasing fees and fines and different ways for the government to collect money. So we're paying for it. And on top of that, eventually they're going to cut your Social Security and Medicare, because they're going to say, oh, we don't have any options left anymore. Yeah, you don't have any options left anymore because you kept giving trillions of dollars in tax cuts to corporations. So we're going to have to pay for that. So then Biden says, oh my God, I'm going to bring corporate taxes back up to 28%. I'm like, wait, hold on. They were at 35. You already did a sleight of hand and said 28. Okay. Then he gets into office and Manchin says, no, 25. That's the highest I'll go. And he goes, okay, fine, 25. And then while you're not looking, they just dump it. They don't.
Yeah. Yeah. And guess what? Like a morning dump, it got flushed. So we can listen more to Fat Tony, but I'm not going to subject you guys to that. You don't deserve that. But why did I share that with all of you? Because you have to understand, folks, in this mad world, we've had people rise up and pretend to be leaders and fighters, which Cenk never was and never will be. He created AOC and the Squad and the Justice Democrats. He was more than happy to work with our revolution and brand new Congress. And yet when criticism came to those organizations and those fantastic politicians that all those organizations endorsed, he helped protect them. He was all in for going to war against Trump. And look, I get it. Trump's a problem too in his own way. But Cenk didn't do himself or anybody else any favors by, helping out the Democrats, or either that, even taking $20 million of that Katzenberg cash from Democrat donor Katzenberg, remember? Because he did that. He did that. And now it's all blown up in his face. And yet he's now trying to be this sage, this wise guru. Dude, the reason why the Democrats have been getting away with all their stupid shite is because you helped enable it. You helped create it. You helped open the doorway for it. What's it like knowing that the very people that you helped put into power don't even acknowledge you anymore? There's probably days where you look in the mirror and wonder, am I part of the problem? And chances are, most likely, it is. Yes, Cenk, you're part of that problem. Jimmy Dore was right the whole time, and so was forced to vote. What a shame. Because if he actually did fight, oh my goodness, what a sight it would be. And not to mention, let's just say Cenk and Sam Cedar were still on board, was forced to vote. Let's say they didn't do what they did. Even they would see, maybe, what a huge hypocritical fraud AOC and the Squad really were. But no, we'll never know what would happen if actually he would be consistent. But don't worry, folks. Once it gets close to October and inches closer and closer to election night, this man's going to be telling you, we got to vote for Trump. Oh, not for Freudian slip there. We got to vote for Kamala to stop Trump. It would be funny. It would be funny there, okay? So I would say, once again, force of votes being rewritten. But it is what it is, folks. Sadly, it is what it is.